You know what, Sam?
What?
The road trip ends this week.
Yes, it does. Well, Sam, the road trip does end this week. The notorious State Fair road trip, and specifically the West Canadian road trip. And Sam, this road trip is looking very good
Yeah,
for.
we've gotten 8 out of 10 points. We could eventually walk. We could possibly walk away from this road trip with 10 out of 12, but even 8 out of 12 is pretty darn good. We said we'd be happy if we got 6 out of 12, but we're looking above that. The worst we can do is a 4-2-0 on this road trip, and that's really good. This is a tough road trip. It's always a tough road trip for this team, and they've looked really well in every game. Really, they've looked pretty decent in most of these games. They've had some lapses. Uh, Obviously, the game against St. Louis didn't turn out the way you wanted. It's the one loss, but you found a way to crawl back, beat Edmonton. You found a way to win against Seattle. You found a way to win against Pittsburgh. You found a way to win and give Calgary their first regulation loss. So this team has been able to do a lot of good on this road trip, and they've looked really well. They're gelling, and that's the benefit of this road trip early on in the season.
Yes, they are. I'm very proud of this Canes team right now. And now, as the time we're recording this, the Vancouver game is tomorrow night, Sam. And I mean, we'll talk more about the Hurricanes, but remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss another video, so you'll always get notified. And if you're listening to us on our traditional podcasting side, like Spotify or Apple, remember to give us a rating and give us like a 5-star review. Right, we're best friends.
Yep, as the Mike Maniscalco and them do on the Canes cast,
Yep.
5 stars, best friends for life. So uh, please do.
Yes, please do that. And we also have a link for donations. So if you feel like you want to donate, there is a link to that in both descriptions, both on YouTube and on our traditional podcasting side of things as well. So, Sam, only one major thing has happened around the league, and this happened with the Rangers. And that was Alexis Lafreniere, who got extended on a 7-year, $7.45 million contract. Sam, I think both well, I actually thought the Rangers kind of won on this deal because Lafreniere has been playing very good for the Rangers.
Yeah, he has. He took a little while to develop, but he's a heck of a hockey player. But again, it's deals like that you start to question. Okay, they can have the money to give Shesterkin what he wants. Okay, they can have the money to give Shesterkin what he wants. Or is Shesterkin going to have to look at it and realize, the market I thought I had isn't there anymore. But this is definitely a factor into what Shesterkin ends up getting, because that's now $7 million that's not going to be available to tack on to Shesterkin. So again, this matters when you're a team as strapped with the cap that the Rangers are, because they are cap strapped. They have a lot of players with high salary cap hits. What do they do? So I think it's a great deal, though, if you take it just as its whole. He's a heck of a hockey player. He's a young guy. He's going to be there for a long time, and he's going to be really good player for the Rangers. I like him. I think he's a heck of a hockey player. And I'm excited to see what he can do as a young guy in the league. It's always good to see those young guys get paid because they earned it. And
Yeah.
Shesterkin and Lafreniere has earned payday that he has acquired.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, though, if they looked at the Seth Jarvis deal,
Yeah,
Andy, and tried to have some comparison there.
that wouldn't surprise me. I think they're both pretty solid players, and they're probably in the same um, class of player as of skill and ability. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense that was the direction that they went. And good for the Rangers on getting it done. I think he probably could have come in a little higher if he wanted to, but I think it speaks to, again, Seth Jarvis as well, where those two players wanted to be in their respective markets. So they probably took a little bit less than what maybe they could have got elsewhere.
Yeah, and just to note, it was 7 years, not the full 8 years. So I wonder if the Rangers looked at the price for the 8 years and thought, "Oh, that's too much." So,
Well, like I said, they're trying. If they went to the 8, my guess is they probably would have had to give him more, maybe another million. And they're probably looking
yeah.
at it like we
Mhm.
need that million to possibly make something happen with Shesterkin because they need to get the goalie done, right? But they couldn't pass up this deal as well. So, if Shesterkin wants to play hardball and Lafreniere wasn't, you got to sign your guy, right? The guy who wants to be there, the guy who understands that maybe, for us to win, it's not a matter of me taking the biggest contract I can, but me taking, something that I have earned, but maybe I'm not going as high as I could.
Yeah, but the Rangers still have lots of stuff they need to do when the off season arrives. They have $21 million left for the next season in
Yep.
cap space, and they still have Shesterkin. They have Capo Kako, Riley Smith. Kako's actually having a decent year so far for the Rangers. I'm not gonna say he's gonna break the bank for them, but he might could demand somewhat of a raise. And they also have Ryan Lindgren and Keandre Miller left to sign. So it's good. It's going to be lots of players left for the Rangers.
Can't imagine they're all going to come back,
No.
right?
Mm-mm.
Some of these guys are going to walk, they're going to get moved, something's going to happen here because they're going to have to find a way to afford these players.
And there's lots of pressure on the Rangers this
Yep.
year to win the Stanley Cup because this is what's interesting is apparently there was some comparison between the Rangers and Toronto. I don't know why Rangers actually made it farther than Toronto,
Yeah.
but I think the closer comparison is the Rangers this year are a lot like the Hurricanes of last year because you have all these guys that are about to leave, and this is the time where you kind of need to win that cup if you're having those aspirations.
Yeah, their Rangers are in their window, and again, they're in a similar situation that we were. Right, this is the year. This is when they have their best roster they're going to have because next year it's going to be different. They can't afford to bring all these people back. The salary cap exists. This is their chance. Are they still a competitive team even after this season? Yeah, because if they keep Shostarkin, he's a guy who's going to steal games for you. I criticize him a lot. I think rightfully so that he can get easily rattled, and he can get very easily rattled. But he continues to get better and he continues to steal them games in the playoffs and the regular season. But, they're still going to lose people. They're going to lose pieces this offseason. I can't imagine them being able to keep both Lindgren and Miller and Shostarkin this offseason. I
Yeah,
think
it's hard to believe that.
I expect Capo Caco won't be back for them. I could see them moving on from him. He's probably going to want to change his scenery. But, it's just a matter of what happens here for the Rangers. But this is their year, right? And I think that's a fair assessment of that roster.
Yes, exactly. But that's kind of the only big thing that happened in the league since our last episode. I think I saw Matt Martin is returning to the Islanders on a one. Sorry, 1 year deal.
My co-host is almost dying there. Matt Martin, solid player. He'll, probably retire after this year. My guess is with the Islanders. So, but Islanders need pieces. I don't think they're that good of a team. Again, I hold to that. So they need all the help they can get. And Matt Martin's a pretty solid player, solid defensive player.
Yes, and there we go. I'm able to speak actually. But that's pretty much it for the league wide stuff, Sam. Now we're gonna get to Hurricanes news. Sorry. Hopefully, I don't cough anymore. But there wasn't a lot of Hurricanes news, Sam, but there is a lot of things that's happening with our prospects. And I feel like that deserves some attention every now and then, especially with all the departures from the offseason.
Sure.
A couple of them is Ruslan Kaziev. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. And Bryce Montgomery were recalled from Bloomington, which is our junior lead team in the ECHL, to Chicago. And I think both of them we kind of saw in action during the preseason.
Yep.
I
Oh yeah.
believe
Yep.
so.
I think so.
Maybe not Kaziev. I don't think he started because he's the goalie. I don't think he played.
I think Montgomery was hurt.
Yeah, I think Montgomery was hurt too. But good if they're getting recalled from Chicago. I hope it's not something of injuries or anything. But if they're getting recalled, I hope it's because their performances are actually good. And another thing too is the Chicago Wolves, Sam, named their captain. Josiah Slavin is their captain.
Oh, good for Slavin. Good for Slavin. That makes a lot of sense given who
Yeah,
his
I
brother
saw
is.
that this morning. I was like, oh, I need to put that in the Hurricanes news category right there.
Yeah, good for Josiah. He's a solid minor league guy. I don't know if he'll ever be anything more than that, but you never know. He's also a good
Yeah,
depth piece. He's a good depth piece, just like Brindamore is, Skylar Brindamore, that is, and Riley Stillman. So we have a lot of good depth that have a lot of ties to this organization too.
I know it's really funny, but congrats to Josiah Slavin for getting the captaincy for Chicago. I mean, he impressed during the preseason. I thought, Sam, he got a
Yeah, I
couple
agree.
of goals. And another thing too, this is a prospect that we have. It's not Nikishkin, but he has been tearing it up in the KHL, and that is Nikita Artamonov. I believe I pronounced that right, but he is off to a hot start. I think I saw earlier today that he has now like 20 points in 20 games, which is freaking amazing.
Look, I love it when the young guys do good. This team is going to have some roster spots available eventually, and we need top six help. So if we can get some skilled guys in that draft pool, and they're looking like they're going to be that, I have no problem with it.
Yes, I'm very happy when I saw that. Seems like we really love gambling on Russians, and I can see why so far with
Yeah,
Nikishkin and maybe Artemonov.
no, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because a lot of people don't like to go with the Russians because there's a lot of uncertainty there, but a lot sometimes it pays off, and it can pay off in spades. So if this is how this works, and we get our heck of a defenseman, our Kale McCarr and Alexander Nikishin, and then we can get a guy who can rack up points, I am not complaining one bit.
No, I am not. But that's pretty much it for the Hurricanes news. Again, I like to bring up the prospects every now and then because you never know. We could find a diamond in the rough. And it seemed like we struck gold with Nikishin.
Yep.
Absolutely, I think. So we're going to recap the two games, the Calgary game and the Seattle game. But before we do, let's get to a couple of our sponsors. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
What gets me excited about watching hockey is the fast-paced nature of the sport. Woo! Yes, that was Sam Driscoll, our other co-host that you heard. In fact, that is what got me sold when one of the first batch of games I watched was Game 7 between the Hurricanes and the Oilers back in 2006. Now, when it comes to going to Hurricane games, I am able to see quite a few great deals I'd like to go to in the future using the Game Time app. One of its features that I like to use are the seat views because it helps me visualize what I will be seeing when I'm sitting in that particular seat. Another key feature I like is the all-in pricing that shows your total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. It is game time, Sam.
It's
It
game
is.
time. Well, that's
And
it for this
also-
episode, right, Sam? No, kidding.
No, it's not, because we got to recap the 2 games. Although, before we even do that, that's just when I was recording that Game Time ad. If you hear the woo in the background,
Woo!
yeah, that's Sam Driscoll. Wasn't that? I think that's a little bit funny story, because I was recording and then you were just like, what were you doing during that time?
I think I was either doing laundry or I was walking around. I don't know. I saw you were recording, and then I just did it for fun, and he made you laugh, and you had to stop recording. So
And then we're like, you know what? I like that. We're going to insert
Yeah.
that in there.
yeah, it's fun. We have a good time doing this.
I think that's a really good ad.
Yeah, I mean,
With you doing woo, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a great ad. And look, we have always said, whether it's game time or whatever, if you can get tickets to the Hurricanes, take advantage of discounts that we're helping you provide. Right. So, and that's huge. So, if we can help in any way, our network can help in any way to get more fans to games, that's a reason to get excited about. So, we want people to go to the games. That's why we do giveaways too, Sam, which by the way, we have one coming up.
Yes, we do. And we also want people to gamble. That's why we have DraftKings.
I don't know about that. We want people to have fun with their sporting events. I don't know. I
We
don't know
do.
if I would
We
go as
do.
far as they gamble.
We
but,
do.
we want you to have fun, right? People enjoy betting on their team. So, I mean, I do it sometimes. So, if you want to go and have a good time, have the full experience, bet on the team, get to the game, we can help you from A to Z, right?
I'm not good at gambling, so that's why I just no.
Hey, look,
That's
to
just
each
me,
their own.
though. That's just me.
To each their own.
Yes, definitely. But Sam, let's start with the first game, and it's going to be the win against Calgary. And this was a game coming into it, Sam, where I was a little bit intimidated because Calgary was doing pretty well as we were heading into that game.
Yep.
And Carolina, I thought probably the first 5 or 10 minutes, I thought Calgary was really turning it on. And then Carolina was able to turn it on. And we got to see Seth Jarvis scoring on a power play goal from Aho and Netchus. And that was a great goal. Really was. The power play's been lethal. Sort of.
The first unit has been lethal. I don't even think the second unit's done anything yet. Look, what needs to happen, and it's a horrible reality here, is unless we go out and trade for another top 6 guy who can put the puck in the net, the only unit that's going to get anything is probably going to be that first unit. It's really, really good. Its star power is unbelievable. I mean, it's Gostisbehere, Svechnikov, Aho, Natchez, Jarvis. That unit should score a lot of goals, right? It really should. It wouldn't surprise me if the power play starts to drive up, if you see Rod maybe juggling up the power play groups a little
Which
bit.
might be good. Which might be good because listen, I love that first power play unit. It's been great, but I could see Rod kind of changing things just to give the second power play unit something.
Yeah, give them something and not completely wear out everybody on that first unit, because that's going to be a lot, because they're probably going to play somewhere between the first minute 15 to minute and a half of the power play, I would assume, most of the time, and that's not easy to do on any stretch of the imagination, to always roll out that top unit for almost most of the power play. So yeah, it wouldn't shock me if I saw Svech get bumped down to that second unit, or Natchez get down to the second unit. Although I doubt it's Natchez. You probably want to keep him a little happier, given he's got a contract due soon, in 2 years. So Yeah, I mean, I think if you bump Svech down, maybe you swap Svech and Roslovic or Svech and KK. But it's just one of the benefits here that we have of, right now let's ride that unit because it's really good, and it's beneficial to everybody to have that unit clicking because this team needs all the help they can to score goals. The offense, we lost talent this offseason. There's no denying we lost offensive talent. But if the power play can click and gel and help make up for that, and Jarvis takes a step, and Ignatius takes a step, and Aho can somehow take another step, you can make up some of that. And it doesn't hurt that Gostisbehere is putting the puck in the net more than anything. So that's good.
Yes, it is. And as we head into that second period, Sam, obviously there are 3 goals. Roslovic scores from Burns and Svechnikov. Great goal once again. And Netcha scores from Gostisbehere and KK. And I believe, don't get me wrong, I could be wrong about this, but no, never mind. Yeah, never mind. Disregard wise, I just said there. But I mean, we made it 3-0, and that was really impressive. And I thought that second period, Sam, was the best that we saw of Carolina this season until the Jake Bean goal, because Canes were just hounding Calgary in their own zone.
Yeah.
Now,
Carolina,
unfortunately, we take a penalty. I believe we take a penalty.
I
No, we
mean,
don't.
the reality is Calgary's not that good. They had been playing very good. The Calgary team, we talked about this in the offseason, Sam. We don't believe they're a playoff team. But teams start out really well, and they can start out really well. I think Anaheim started out like on fire last season, and they've tapered off. Right? This is just expected. Another team that started off really well was LA. They started off on fire. They ended up firing their coach. So you can start off really, really well, and then it all be like, oh, now we're going to revert back to our mean, which is how good we actually are. And when you watch that game, you saw a team that has significantly higher end talent than the other team does, and Carolina took advantage of it. Jake Bean got a good shot off. He was a former Hurricane. You probably could have bet on that and get yourself some guaranteed money, right? Because that always
Yeah.
happens. Former Hurricanes score against us all the time. So, look, good for Jake Bean. I really don't care. But it was a dominant performance. And yes, we left the door open, unfortunately, for Calgary. And they claw themselves back into it with a second goal. I believe they scored it in the third. So it became a 1-goal game. And we're both sitting there like, oh my gosh, you just want to go to bed. Come on, score another goal. We never do that. But I do think we pop an empty netter, though, don't we, Sam?
Yes, it's Eric Robinson that scores on the empty net with an assist from Kochetkov. So Kochetkov gets a point, which is really cool.
Gets his first point of the season. I was kind of hope maybe he'd take a shot at the net, but
Oh, I was too, because he had the puck. I thought he might be going for it, especially with like the recent trends of goalies scoring on empty nets, but he didn't. I could totally see him doing it though. Really
he's done
could.
it before. He's done it before
At the AHL level.
Yeah, so it's not like he doesn't have a desire to try. So I hope to see
Exactly.
it. I bet he tries. I actually, if I were to bet, I bet Kochetkov gets a goal at some point in his career in the NHL.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that. But there was a bit of a scare, Sam. Jonathan Huberdeau scored. And I mean, he's been playing amazing for Calgary, and he should, because he's getting paid lots of money. But that was a bit of a scare because we thought Calgary might take it to overtime, but we did solidify the win 4-2. I did think Carolina's best moments was in the first 30 minutes, and I thought the last 30, Calgary was really pushing.
Yep.
I thought trying to get going. But you know what's interesting? Calgary lost again last night against Winnipeg. Now, here's the thing: nobody can beat Winnipeg right now. They are on a heater.
Yeah, Winnipeg's a really, 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 really good team this year, it looks like. So we'll see what happens with the Jets and if they finally cool off. But right now, they're looking pretty darn good.
I've always liked Hellebuck. I've always liked him.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been high on him, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but great win. And I mean, Kochetkov did start.
Yep.
in net. I
He had
thought
a good game.
Kochetkov had a great. Yeah, he did. He played a lot better because this was his first time playing
Yep.
ever since that loss against St. Louis, which
Yes.
he wasn't really the best on. I don't blame him for those goals in St. Louis, but he could have stopped a few of them. But he came back against Calgary. He was really dialed in. Like he was still playing aggressive, but he knew when to play aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
What?
he did a good job.
Yeah.
I love I if this team is to have any success, Kochetkov needs to be good. And I think he can be. And maybe it was just a slow start, and I think that's okay. But I think right now, I think Anderson's the better of the two. Uh, I mean,
He
he's been
is.
freaking amazing. I mean, really good to start the season, and I do believe he had to be this good, right? I think it's an unfortunate that that's how we all feel about him, but just because of how the season ended last year, Anderson had to be an all-star to start this season out for sure, and he has.
Yes. Yeah, he has. And I mean, honestly, I think with Brendan Moore, you got to play the best goalie, whether it's Kachekov
Yeah,
or Anderson. And I do think, I mean, at least I'm hoping he will eventually give the reins to Kachekov. But again, Kachekov has to earn it. And Anderson, he's trying to kind of be that starting goalie going into the playoffs. Now,
yep,
I have my concerns about that, but he's really proving it right now.
absolutely, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Um, I would like to see. I expect Kochetkov to start against the Canucks because we've been rotating, and I think on the road, I think that works a lot. Is to rotate these guys because it's a lot of travel, different time zones, makes a lot of sense. But then I think Anderson will get the start against Boston, and it wouldn't shock me if we see Anderson start to string a few games together because I think he's earned to be the number one right now. Then if Anderson cools off, you can just pass it to Kochetkov and see if he lets go.
Yes, exactly.
And
So,
Kochetkov's going to get a chance because Anderson is inevitably probably going to get hurt.
oh yes, and Spencer Martin will get some action too, I think, probably.
Absolutely,
Because even though
absolutely.
I think Anderson is more prone to getting injuries than Kachekov has had some history of injuries, so we'll
Yes,
see. I am in listen, with having Spencer Martin down in the minor league team, I am fine with him playing only a couple games.
sure.
Really am. So yeah, great win against Calgary, and now we're going to go to the Seattle game. And Sam, you didn't watch a lot of this game from my understanding, right?
No, I caught the last like 10 minutes of the third.
Okay, so I might I might have to explain the game a little bit more than the Calgary game. That's okay though. But the first period, Sam, power play strikes once again. Again, that first power play unit is on specifically. Second power play unit, I thought they had a couple of chances. Drury, I thought, had a good one-timing chance on the second power play unit. Couldn't get it in, but he kind of made up for it on the 5-on-5 goal that he made later on in the game. But Svetch, he scores, and that's big. We need to see Svetch scoring. It was a great goal. I think he could have had 2 goals last night because he did had an empty net opportunity to score. He
Mhm.
didn't. That I mean, here's the thing. He already scored a goal, so I'm not going to harp on him too much. But at the same time, if you're Andrei Svechnikov, you got to bury that.
I love Svetch, um, but he was drafted to be a goal scorer, and that hasn't panned out quite the way I think we wanted it to be. And I don't know what it is. I really don't why that changed for him, but he's a heck of a power forward, and he does have a scoring touch. Uh, we'll see. He hasn't had a fully healthy season in a while, and I'm hoping for him is it'll just start to flow, and we'll see what happens with Svetch. I hope that's not the norm where he gets opportunities like that and can't complete it because this team can't afford that. It cannot
No.
afford that.
Mm-mm.
Uh, and I wanted to point one thing out to you, Sam, because I think it's actually kind of interesting. The Hurricanes I'm going to verify this real quick. So in the beginning of the season, and do you know the Hurricanes have scored at least, I'm going to make sure this is correct.
You got to be very careful with that at least thing.
Hurricanes have scored at least 3 goals, in every game except the home opener.
Yes,
And
that's
it's been enough.
very good.
And it's been enough in all of them except for the St. Louis game. Hurricanes have also scored 4 in multiple of those. But we have at least scored 3 in every game but the home opener. But that just shows, like, in a margins like that, right? When the margins are that close, you need Svetch to put pucks like that in the net, right? Because you need to get to that 3-goal mark, that 4-goal mark. Because every time the Hurricanes have scored 4, they've won. So, right, if Carolina got to that 4th goal against the St. Louis Blues, maybe we're talking about getting a point in St. Louis, right? Like, those margins are there. Like, Svetch can't miss on opportunities like this.
And it's early in the season, so
Sure.
I mean, I could see them kind of cleaning this up as we progressively get closer to hopefully the playoffs. So you
Yes.
never know.
Hey, if they keep playing like this, I'm not concerned, right? I think we'll be a playoff team. And I think if this is the team we see in the playoffs, what we're getting now, I can see this team, if they get bracket luck, advancing a round or 2, right? But again, it depends. Some team, like, look at Calgary. They started off really well. Are we starting off really well, and then we're going to revert back to what maybe our mean is? But until that happens, right? If we keep playing like this, maybe this is where this team's at. But inevitably, right? We had a couple good games here. Inevitably, we're going to lose, right? So if you're listening to this, would be tonight, the Hurricanes could lose against the Canucks, and guess what? That's okay. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. This team would have gotten 8 out of 12 points. It's really good on a road trip like this, right? That's really good. And that means you have a really good road record to start the season at 4-2-0. That's very good to start the road trip, right? You're 1-1 at home. You have a chance to come home again, play against a tough team like Boston.
4-game homestand coming up.
That's huge, right? You're 500 at home right now. You're above 500 on the road. You need to get well above 500 at home. All right, this is an opportunity to show your fans that, hey, the team you saw on the road, that's us. That's this group. And we're going to come in, we're going to fight hard like they did in Seattle. I saw the last period. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but it sounds like Carolina played well against the Kraken. Defensively well against the Kraken. So
I thought it was their best defensive game. To be honest, I thought it was.
And that's important. Like, that's how this team's going to win hockey games. They got to be very good in their own zone. Very good in their own zone. And you need your stars to score. And that's what happened against the Kraken, right? You got Svechnikov with a goal. You got Jarvis with a goal. That's what you want to happen. Your top guys need to be your top guys.
And your depth guys every now and then to help your top guys.
Exactly.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And we got to see that with Jack Drury scoring in the second from Jackson Blake and Brent Burns. Hopefully that can get Brent Burns to start going a little bit offensively. Because here's the thing. Brent Burns, I think he has a bounce back season so far. I think he's been playing better than the playoffs. But we're still not seeing that offense that we know he probably could get. But at the same time, he's 39 years old. Maybe the age is contributing to the kind of the offensive points being dried up a bit.
I just want to see him shoot the puck more.
I do too.
Because he's got a heck of a one-timer and a heck of a slapper, and I want to see him use it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but hopefully that gets Burns going. He got an assist on that Drury goal. But to me, the reason why Drury got that goal was an excellent vision and pass from Jackson Blake. He has 3 points in 7 games, Sam. He is doing very good overall. I do agree with what I think Adam Gold said. I think against Edmonton, I thought he looked a little gassed just because it was at such a high pace of a game. That's probably the only game where I'm like, Jackson Blake wasn't as noticeable as the others, but he's a rookie. and you
Yeah.
can't have too much expectations on a rookie.
No, he's been serviceable. He's done well. He earned his opportunity, and he's still earning the roster spot. He's playing well. So I'm excited to see, his career as he continues to develop and get used to playing in the NHL.
Yes, and this is also the first time too that us Canes fans got to see on the Seattle bench Dan Plasma
Yep.
and the assistant coach. I forgot her name, but got to see the first woman assistant coach. So
Yeah.
congrats.
Yeah, no, again, I said it before. Dan Bilesma wanted her, and she's clearly qualified because she was assisting in the American Hockey League under Dan Bilesma, who's also, by the way, a very good coach, Stanley Cup champion, good coach, with Pittsburgh. If memory serves me correct, there, um, I think she's earned it, and Seattle's got a pretty solid team, so they'll get there.
Yes, and her name is Jessica Campbell. That's what her
That's
name
right,
is.
Jessica
But
Campbell.
I mean, Seattle, I think they're a decent team. I don't think there's any stars on the team. I think the closest one is Maddie Beniers.
Yeah, they have a lot
Their
of depth, though.
defense, they do. They have good depth. And I mean, Joey Decord, he played amazing last night. And one thing I do want to say, well, I thought Hurricanes were playing very, very good. I thought the quality of chances wasn't the quantity of the quality of chances wasn't there as much as the previous games, like Edmonton or Calgary or Pittsburgh, but they were still getting some chances. Mainly, and I did want to talk about the power play a little bit. Sam, Hurricanes were 1 for 7. I love the first power play because that was the first goal for the Hurricanes, but I noticed on the power play, I mean, it wasn't bad. It's just I thought Carolina was shooting at the same at the same angles multiple times over, and I was like, okay, can we change things up here? That was just my only complaint, and we were 1 for 7, so not the best, but not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you scored at least one, but yeah, you don't want that to be a habit. When you get that many, you want to score at least 2, maybe 3 of those.
Yeah, and I don't want this to start like a trend of the first power play unit not contributing at all, because at that point, Brind'Amour does need to mix things up. But so far, they're getting the goals, so I'm not going to harp on our power play too much.
Agreed. And they're playing a lot, so it could have just become a fatigue factor as well as the game went on.
Yes, it could. And of course, in the third period, I noticed this quite a bit, Sam, but Seattle was kind of trying to, what I like to call cheat. Now, every team cheats, but there's always that one player when I talk about cheating that tries to get that breakaway. And Jared McCann definitely got a breakaway. This was on the Slavin and Burns pair, believe it or not. But McCann scores on a breakaway. He completely fakes Anderson out. But you know what? I thought Seattle was going to score eventually. I did.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're going to get their chances.
Yes, and then Seth Jarvis scores, Sam, and to me, this was the beauty of the night. On a breakaway, great pass from Martinook.
Yes, I saw this one. This is close to when I started watching.
Yeah, it was like he fades Joey Decord out. Oh my gosh, what a sick goal!
It was, he basically deked him out so much the net was empty, and he just tapped it in the empty net.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he faked him out. So he faked him out of his crease to where he just left a wide open net, and Jarvis was like, "I can put this in." And funny enough, he elevated, I believe, like top shelf too. So great goal from Jarvis, man. He's been doing really doing doing good. 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points in 7 games. That's pretty good for Jarvis.
Agreed.
And then just to end the night, Dmitry Orlov gets a pretty impressive empty net. He flings it over. I don't know if you saw this goal, Sam, but Orlov was able to score on an empty goal from quite a bit of distance, all the way from our zone. So that helped make it 4-1. And Sam Mills at that time where I was like, okay, I need to get back to my apartment and get some sleep. So
Yeah.
Because I didn't stay for it. Once Orlov scored that goal, I was like, okay, I need to go to bed. So
Yeah, don't blame you.
yeah, these late games, even though they're fun, they can get a little bit exhausting just because of how late they are, Sam.
Agreed.
Watching this game with my dad was like fade. I can tell he was starting to fade the
Yeah, I
last
don't blame
like
him.
10 minutes.
I don't blame him. They get hard.
They do. They definitely do. But 2 great wins, Sam. Hopefully we can win against Vancouver. But at the same time, if we don't, it's been a great road trip, I think, overall.
And Boston will not be included in next episode, correct?
Yeah,
'Cause that's a
we
home game.
it is a home game. We do record on Thursdays.
So that's it. Maybe it will, maybe it won't be.
It's a if it goes into overtime, don't expect. Well, is that fine, Sam?
Probably
If it doesn't
should be
go
good.
into overtime, because we're only 15 minutes away from the arena.
Yeah. So expect, again, if it's a later game for some reason it goes late, then yes. Don't expect.
Yes. Yeah, don't if it goes into overtime or shootout, don't expect that
Well, no, because we'll
that
record
game.
after the game. Unless we want to
Well,
record.
we're gonna have to. Yeah, we are gonna have to regardless.
So we'll figure it out, don't worry.
Yeah, we will. Trust me, I can manage with like a few hours of sleep. So I've been doing that several days this past week. It's exhausting, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. But yeah, so we will see you guys for Friday's episode.